Afternoon, everybody. So just right at the top, of course, we welcome the announcement just a little bit ago, I think in the last hour or so, by Qatar, that the humanitarian pause in Gaza, now in its fourth day, will be extended for another 2 days through Thursday morning Israel time. This humanitarian pause has already brought a halt to the fighting, together with a surge of humanitarian assistance. Now, in order to extend the pause, Hamas has committed to releasing another 20 women and children over the next 2 days. We would, of course, hope to see the pause extended further, and that will depend upon Hamas continuing to release hostages. Well, we certainly hope so. I mean, we're going to watch this very, very closely. We're certainly hoping that another batch of hostages gets released today as part of the fourth and final day of the original agreement. We're going to be watching closely to see if any Americans are in that group. As it has come out over the last 3 days, we don't really know until you get into the end game who's going to be actually on that list, and then even then you got to watch closely to seeing if who's on the list is the folks that actually come out. So we're watching and hoping. It's a real risk. You have to expect a group like Hamas, a terrorist group, which clearly doesn't abide by laws of war, will try to take advantage of any pause in the fighting for their own benefit. So we're watching that closely, as well as our Israeli counterparts. You can bet that they're watching that closely. And I don't want to speak for the Israelis, but I mean, this is a calculated risk that Prime Minister Netanyahu and his war cabinet are willing to take in order to get those hostages out. So it's a balance. And as you've also heard the Israelis say, that once the pauses are over, they intend to go right back at military operations. I would just say that, without getting into intelligence issues, that any pause in the fighting could benefit your enemy in terms of time to refit, to rest your fighters, to rearm them, re-equip them. A pause in the fighting can be seen as a benefit. But I want to stress, and this was always part of the calculus. Any discussion of pauses was always part of the calculus, that Hamas might try to benefit from it. But so too have the Israeli people benefited by the return of their loved ones and hostages. So too have the American people benefited now with little Abigail back with her family. So again, it's a balance. We think the number is, well, it's less than 10, probably in the neighborhood of, about 8 to 9. But we don't necessarily have firm, solid information on each and every one of them. We're going to keep working for an extension to the pause again. Absolutely, that's what we want. We want to see all the hostages out, and this is the best way to get them out. The Israelis have been pretty clear that once the pauses are complete and the hostage exchanges are over, that they intend to continue their military operations against Hamas. I think it's a safe assumption. I mean, they were taken against their will and in violent circumstances, that this had to have been a harrowing experience for them. We also have to assume that the conditions in which they were being held were obviously less than ideal. The president understands that there's strong feelings here on multiple sides. He understands that. He respects that. There's strong feelings. He also believes, right down to his core, that the approach we've been taking has been getting results. So the approach that we're taking with Israel, and quite frankly with our partners in the region, is working. It's getting aid into people that need it. It's getting a pause in the fighting. It's getting hostages out. It's getting Americans out. And quite frankly, we continue to urge, and will continue to urge, the Israelis, as they conduct military operations, to do so with the utmost care for innocent civilian life.